What's happening, Truth Family? Welcome back to another episode of We the People, where the people come for the truth. And right here, I got one for you, baby. They didn't think it was gonna be them, but guess what? You're part of it too.
Donnie just doxed 960,000 New Yorkers. This is fucking insane. So Mom Donnie's new plan is to tax New Yorkers who have homes in New York but don't live there full time, which is an insane thing to tax people for owning a home and then just not living there all the time. Like, God forbid you have a second home. How dare you? But yeah, so his department took those 960,000 people, those 960,000 residents of New York, and created a searchable database with their name and address just listed publicly. That's fucking doxing. Imagine if somebody was like, hey, I'm going to create a searchable database of all the content creators on TikTok. And on there, I'm going to list their name, their screen name, and their home address. Y'all would lose your fucking mind. Or put it more politically, say Trump wanted to create a searchable database of every Democrat donor where it would have their name and their address and how much money they gave. Y'all would have him impeached within a week. Mamdani puts up everybody's name and address into an easily searchable database, putting all of these people at risk of harassment and violence. And everybody just goes, oh, he's doing a great job.
And I've been doxxed.
You've been doxxed? What? Tell me.
So I don't know if you've heard, but Mayor Mamdani has decided to release a list of the 950,000 residences with addresses and names.
Wait, what? He got doxxed? These are the people that voted for it. These are the ones that wanted it to happen. Oh, wait, what? So you mean to tell me that the DSA is doxing the Democrats also? So your plan kind of backfired in your face, huh? Oh.
Be eligible for his pied-à-terre tax. I came out in favor of this tax. This is the definition. He's taken a legitimate source of tax revenue and he's turning it into a wanted poster. And the question I would have is, other than trying to identify and imply these people have done something wrong, and then 18 months after a healthcare CEO was executed in the street, and then publish the list, what is the upside here? Why is he?
I'm going to tell you the upside. The upside is even you, and see, it's not just the Republicans, even you, the Democrats, are a means to an end. You see, you were the socialists. You had the socialist policies, you were the socialist party, pretty much, right? Free everything. The other ones just had to work for it, right? But what you're finding out is that they're not socialists, they're communists. They just know they can't get elected with that title, right? But once they get in, they can change the Constitution and turn us into a communist country. And you are helping him along. Moron Zandami, that is. Who you thought may have been your friend. You know, you elected, you voted for the policy that's now screwing you in the rear with no grease. Awesome.
Hey, who's accepting an award for her White House coverage. Trump was also sat there as the Wall Street Journal accepted an award for its reporting on his ties to Jeffrey Epstein in that famous birthday greeting thing with the lady's vagina.
I don't know who this chick is, but I just want to say she's a douchebag.
You know how I feel about this correspondence dinner. I think it's just repulsive. And I had offered to pay for the scholarships because I hated it so much. But I covered it as a young reporter. I thought it was terrible 20 years ago. This was just bad. And, don't come for Caitlin Collins, my friend. I thought she acted rather well, although I suspect nobody should have been there in the first place. But that's just.
And we have this 80-year-old man making the creep. This wasn't even about insults. It's like, this dude is just so fucking creepy.
Creepy.
It's like your grandfather whose doddering shows up and won't stop talking about his grandson's girlfriend in a very uncomfortable way. It's like, dude, just take your limp dick and just take it somewhere else. Here. It's so, the air, I don't know, the clip, the
Tell me this, Batman. Why is it that Caitlin Collins and the liberals are having a heart attack over President Trump saying that Caitlin Collins look like Dylan Mulvaney. I don't understand. I thought Dylan Mulvaney was a beautiful woman. I'm not computing what's going on here. Because if Dylan Mulvaney is a beautiful woman, then that makes Caitlin Collins a beautiful woman. How is that an insult? It wouldn't be an insult because Dylan Mulvaney is a man and crazy and cut his wee-wee off, would it be? I mean, I'm just asking a question here. I know everything ain't politically correct that I ask, but it's still correct. So, riddle me that, Batman. Why is it that Caitlin Collins is so mad that Trump says she looked like Dylan Mulvaney? You come up with your own answer. I'm not trying to get suspended from YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day.
Oh, fuck. God. This is just the worst thing. And let's go macro. The White House Correspondents' Dinner is like Blockbuster holding an award show for who has the best DVD.
No. I don't think there's a person on planet Earth that doesn't realize that President Trump was not referring to Caitlin Collins in no kind of sexual manner. I think he finds her repulsive, like the rest of us do. I don't think he finds her attractive at all. And quite frankly, she does look like a little boy in a dress. But, hey, you know, you dress how you want to dress, you look how you want to look. I'm just saying, her and Dylan Mulvaney look like they could have been twin brothers or sisters. Whatever, you know what I mean, right? But to say that it was repulsive, no, it's just, you don't like when your own stuff is twerked against you. That's what it is. So why is it repulsive? Tell me why it's repulsive. You're trying to say that President Trump made some kind of sexual advance toward Caitlin Collins? Are you serious? You're a moron if you think we believe that.
This guy supported Mondami's stupid tax on rich people with second homes of $5 million or something like that, right? His stupid tax. He supported his stupid tax, right? And Mondami decided it would be a good idea to dox everybody who potentially would have to pay this tax by releasing a list. Now, again, this is a big deal. A lot of people are freaking out for obvious reasons because everybody knows that these leftists are violent, right? That these Marxists are violent, right? They literally assassinated a CEO in the middle of the street in New York City in cold blood, and they deified the assassin, right? Deified him. So they know what we're dealing with. So they're freaking out because Mondami is doubling and tripling down on targeting people, putting targets on people's backs just because they're successful, right? Just because they got money, okay? Or people think that they have money. And liberals are getting scared because they're understanding that, wait, hold on now. This isn't just targeting Trump supporters. Again, if he was out here just targeting Trump supporters, they wouldn't give a shit, right? They wouldn't care. But he's also targeting liberals as well, too, right? People on the left side of the aisle, those people are being targeted as well, too, because they're rich. Again, welcome to Marxism, okay? Like, these people are going to learn the same people that they've gotten in bed with, they hate anybody that, again, is rich, right? That is successful. And there are a lot of rich Democrats and liberals, okay? So they're basically the enemy. They're finding out. And Scott Galloway found out after he got doxxed. And now he's fuming over the same tax that he supported, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
I left San Francisco in 2000 because I thought I was going to be rich. Red Envelope was going public, and I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And I thought, I want to teach, and I want to live in New York. New York is the greatest collision of proximity, humanity, culture, creativity, weirdness. And I'm like, I want that.
Yes, you've said that. Yeah, you love the city.
And I moved there in 2000. I ended up, I was not rich. And I worked my ass off in New York, and I decided, you know what? I can't afford to live here. And I moved to Florida. But I decided I'm going to start a business intelligence firm called L2. And I started it in New York because A, it's an amazing place to start a business. And B, I always wanted to have a foot in New York. I started L2 in 2010. I sold it in 2017. And I've spent a bunch of time this morning trying to figure out what are the taxes, not the federal taxes, but the state franchise tax, real estate taxes, payroll taxes paid by L2 from 2010 to present to New York City and state. And it's about $51 million. The average, in other words, L2 is paying for what one of the largest firehouses in downtown, the budget for one of the largest firehouses in downtown Manhattan is $26 million a year. And but quite frankly, what he's saying is, okay, and when I sold my company in 2017, I was living in faculty housing. My dean called me and said, congratulations, I just saw you sold it for this. You need to move out of faculty housing, which was fair.
Right. And you bought your apartment, yes.
And I bought an apartment. And now when he starts putting, quite frankly, when he starts putting a target, he's implying we've done something wrong. He's implying that we're guilty of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you are guilty. You're guilty of being successful, right? You're guilty of being rich, which is a crime, right? Because the Marxists believe at their core that nobody gets rich in legitimate ways, right? Like, you cannot legitimately be a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, right? Or have hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't be rich through any type of legitimate means. You're only rich because you stole from somebody, you robbed somebody, you hurt somebody, right? That's the only reason that you're rich. That's what these people believe. So they see wealth as an indicator of morality, right? Of whether or not a person has done good for the world, right? Because again, in their eyes, you're not rich because you provided value to people. You're rich because you stole from somebody, right? You took from somebody else. That's the only way that you have hoarded so much money, right?
He should just take the tax. I would agree.
They have the tax rolls. They don't need this for tax reasons. As a matter of fact, if Amazon released a list of 1 million names and said these people actually owe taxes or they've done something wrong or they're implied something bad about them, and it had a 95% error rate, the same attorney general under Mamdani would be issuing subpoenas right now.
Right. Yeah. I don't know this.
This plays into
it's doxing.
This is plain, and like he's implying we've done something wrong because we're successful.
Right.
No,
I agree.
New York
is the
New York is the last place you want to demonize success.
Yeah.
The reason people move to New York is they think, I want to be successful on Broadway. I want to be successful in business. I want to be successful in the arts. And no one's going to get in my fucking way if I'm really talented and work hard. We're going to celebrate it. We're not going to put a big R on your door and say you've done something wrong because you're successful.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so why'd you support Mamdani's tax in the first place? Again, it's amazing how these people now start telling the truth about how terrible this is, right? Just how terrible this ideology is, right? The messaging from people like Mamdani, right? Demonizing success, right? In New York City is kind of wild, right? Because New York wouldn't be New York without massive success, right? Without having, people become extremely rich. I mean, that's kind of the essence of New York City. That's kind of what it's about, right? It's that type of rat race. It is what it is, right? That's the culture. So it's funny how it takes all of this in order for these people to come out and tell the truth about how bad this is, that this is not a good thing, right? That Mamdani's doing. And here's the thing, and this is something that I've said, and I'll continue to say because I'm picking up on how Mamdani is actually doing things. He doesn't govern for outcomes. He literally governs for social media, right? He goes out and he does something, let's be honest, is a bad policy. It's going to have a negative impact. And he takes the short-term W and kicks the can down the road, pretending like he's addressing the real problem. Like, this whole stupid tax they got going on right now. This is his way of, quote unquote, taxing the rich because he couldn't get his way, right? Ultimately. So he's going to double and triple down on it because ultimately what it's about is virtue signaling to the mob, right? It's about adherence to ideology rather than outcome. He doesn't care if this drives people away. He doesn't care if the millionaires leave. So him personally, it doesn't matter. All he cares about is the short-term win because the communists are going to celebrate and the communists are going to vote for it no matter what. They're going to keep voting for it. So he knows that. So he's very savvy politically in terms of how he's moving. And that's why it's crazy to me that smart people, right, are supporting this nonsense. And what I mean by smart people, I mean liberals that know better, right? They know better, but again, they hate Trump so much that, again, they're playing footsies with these communists and they're finding out in the worst ways possible.
Quite why he did it since he got the tax. The tax was going through. He's seeing some polling where it's not. He's already won, and I'm not sure why he's doubling down with a losing move. It's bizarre.
He's doubling down for ideological purposes because he's ideologically driven, not outcome driven, right? If he actually cared about providing these social services to people, being able to afford it, right? Then he would want to keep rich people in New York. He wouldn't be doing stuff like this. But he's doing it because it plays well with his base, with getting votes. He does not care about the second and third and fourth order effects of what he's doing because progressives and socialists don't think like that, right? They don't think through that. All they care about is, okay, well, what's going to play well right now? Let me do it right now. Let me boost my popularity with my base. And we don't care about the actual negative consequences of basically doxing rich people, driving rich people to the South, right? Driving them to North Carolina, driving them to Florida, driving them to Texas, to Tennessee. We'll deal with that later. He'll be long gone. Okay. But, it's just crazy to me how these people don't understand how bad this stuff is until it happens to them, right? Until they're subject to it, right? Until they're doxxed. Now, all of a sudden, they want to have a real conversation about, well, is this good policy? Is this actually good that he's doing this? You knew this from the start. It was stupid.
And that bizarre. And in a time when people's public information, even if it's public, to call attention to it when you're so prominent is a real problem. I mean, we all complain about Facebook and others using our information, and justifiably. To do this is very similar. It feels very creepy. It feels very surveillance. It feels very, even if you don't like Ken Griffin, even if you don't like all these rich people lording it over New York, they should pay their taxes. And that's that. It should be that's that. And it seems really unusually pugny.
Well, did you hear your partner? Right? His company, just in state taxes, local taxes, would pay what? $50+ million? I mean, like, how much are they supposed to pay? I mean, seriously. They should just pay their taxes. They are paying their taxes. What are you talking about? They're paying their taxes. So this idea that the rich don't pay is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Actually, when you actually do business and you actually have to go through the whole tax process, right? A vast majority of these so-called deductions, right, to avoid quote unquote paying taxes, they actually are investments, right? You actually have to, buy infrastructure, buy equipment, right? Upgrade things. You have to invest in the economy in order to get the so-called tax benefits. That's what a lot of people don't understand about the so-called deductions and stuff like that, right? The way that rich people get around paying taxes is that you got to find stuff to spend your money on, right? That's going to help your business grow, right? That's going to create more jobs. That's going to stimulate the economy. That's just kind of how it goes, right? But for the most part, okay, if you are rich, you are being taxed, right? You're either being taxed again, or you're having to spend your money in order to, get around the tax, which means, again, investing in the economy. So either way, there's a benefit. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. But they keep running around pretending as if people aren't paying their fair share. Well, let's be honest. I'm going to keep a buck with you. It's going to be controversial, but statistically speaking, the people who really aren't paying their fair share are the people who are at the bottom, right? Who don't really pay any taxes, but they receive a lot of welfare. They receive a lot of help from the state. Those are the people who aren't paying their fair share. But that's not a conversation that people really want to have because it sounds bad to say that. But that's the truth. That's the truth. If you are a net negative taxpayer, aka you receive more in benefits than you pay, you are not paying your fair share, right? That's a lot of people. Let's be honest. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the bottom 2%. Okay? That's who you really need to worry about. Not the top 1%, the bottom 2%.
toward. I don't understand. I was sort of shocked by this story, and I'm going to wait for more reporting on this. But it seems ridiculous to call attention to it when it's people you want to also stay here and you want to get their taxes. Anyway, I would agree with you, Scott. I don't like it. I don't like it, and people can call us friends of rich people, but it seems unfair on every aspect. Not the tax.
95% of the people on the list suppose not going to be subject to the tax. Like what, other than implying these people have done something wrong and publishing their address without their permission, without their consent, what possible upside is there from publishing this list?
I would like to know what the idea is. It's not a good one. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. I know it's been a tough morning. By the way, I've gotten yelled at by Facebook, and
yeah, the upside is for Mandami's political brand. That's the upside. He doesn't care about the actual outcome or the effect on the city. It's his brand, and that's what he does. That's how he's governing. It's all flash, right? All flash, no substance. It's all flash. The outcome doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's bad policy. He doesn't care. The leftists don't care. It's all ideologically driven. That's why he's doing stuff like this. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's dumb. If you really want to afford your socialism, you have to keep rich people in your city. That's the only way you afford it. They pay for it. So unnecessarily posting a list of these individuals, putting targets on their back after CEOs have been assassinated is crazy. It's absolutely insane. It only makes sense if you look at it from the perspective of this guy doesn't care about the outcome. He just wants to promote his brand. That's all he cares about. And he'll burn down the whole city if that means that he's popular with his base of radical lunatics. That's Mandami politics, right? That's the politics of Mandami. And that's what we're witnessing. It's about how long is this going to hold up? Is it going to fall apart before he leaves office, right? Before he's up for re-election? It's just about how long can he kick the can down the road until this stuff really, really, really starts to show up. That's the question, because long term, it's going to be a disaster. And we see this stuff fall apart in liberal cities all the time, faster than others, right? In Chicago under Brandon Johnson, right? That turned into a disaster quickly. It was already a disaster under Lori Lightfoot, but under Brandon Johnson, they lost the Chicago Bears, bro. They lost the Chicago Bears. He is worse than a disaster, right? For Chicago. Okay? Look at what's happening out in Seattle with Katie Wilson. They're finding out. So they always find out. But again, Mandami he's a special type of huckster, right? He's a special type of a con artist. He got a smile. He got a personality that allows him to get away with BS. But again, I don't think he's going to get away with it for that much longer, because at some point, this stuff is really going to start to reflect and it's going to show. And again, it's going to be bad, right? It's going to be terrible. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Look, I'm going to tell you, we're not too far gone yet. We still have a chance. All you got to do is get out there and vote. That's all you got to do. Come November, you got to get out there and vote. And here's what the kicker. Whether you like it or not, Democrat or not, just remember, right now, Democrats are not your friends. So you're going to have to vote Republican to save this country. Otherwise than that, we're going to lose this country to Islamists and Marxists, socialists. That's just the undercover name, bro. That's all that is. Socialists. That's what we say we are until we get control. Then we implement Marxism. It's everywhere. It happens everywhere. Everywhere it goes down, it happens the same way. Everywhere. Hitler's the only one that claims socialism. All the rest of them start out as a socialist movement and go into communism when they get power. That's not what we need for this country. That's not what we want for our children and our grandchildren. Hit that subscribe, like, and share. I thank you guys for stopping by and checking the video out. I hope you get something out of this. And I hope you get out there and vote come November. And I hope you vote Republican. Thanks. God bless each and every one of you.